All right, so what do you guys think about the Polaris Premiere? So I've got it up on my screen right now. I'm kind of watching it. They've got the trail version, they've got the Pro R, and they've got the Pro S, which I think is really cool, to be honest with you. It pays homage to the Turbo S guys. You guys that have the Turbo S, such a rad car. Then they had the Turbo R, and it just didn't really carry all the way through with the branding. So I think they are trying to pretend the Turbo R just kind of never existed, and bring back those fangs and bring back a little bit of the look of the Turbo S, but the performance of the Turbo R. I really feel in the video they're really trying to push the ultimate versions, because the ultimate versions is where you get all of the bells and whistles. Right now they're talking about the Pro R. So we got a little bit of an Easter egg in the racing season with the new hood on the and the fangs and the lights on the Pro R that they've carried over to the 2025, and I like it. I love the look. I think that I don't know if you guys have ever watched Rady's rides on YouTube. So Rady is like this guy. He goes over all of the look of the fender and the wheels and the window tint, like all the way down to the infotainment system. And this video reminds me a lot of Rady's rides. He's funny. He talks about everything in the car, and these guys are copying like Doug DeMuro and Rady's rides, like going over the exterior styling, because that is the big change with this year. It doesn't look like there's a lot of power upgrades, but it's styling and it is comfort in this car. What I really think that they did a great job on is paying attention to the aftermarket and paying attention to the complaints. So I have to give Polaris huge props for closing that gap in the bottom door. Huge props for fresh air coming into the cab. That's a huge complaint. There's some aftermarket for bringing fresh air into the cab. So if you have a 2024 or earlier, you can go to RPM Power Sports and buy some fresh air cab accessories that bring that fresh air into that firewall. So Polaris is doing that in a totally different way now. They're listening to their customers. They know that through the aftermarket or some of the new cars like Segway is going to come out with some pretty cool cars in 2025. Those are going to be beadlock standard. KRX is beadlock standard. So some of the other cars are beadlock standard. And so Pro R, they came out with a nice new wheel. I mean, it's a killer looking wheel that's standard beadlock. They still have the furry tires, which is fine. I mean, those tires are, I got a bad set on my Pro R, but every tire that I had beyond that, I really didn't have a problem with, and they were the fastest tire on the track. So I like that. I did like how they changed the hood scoop. I think that if you had the extra dough on the Pro R, you were changing the hood scoop to a carbon fiber one, or within the last year and a half, Tim Tynan, TNT, he came out with an incredible hood scoop that works with the clutch cooling system. So it kept your belt temps way down. So if you haven't seen Tim Tynan's hood scoop, the thing is just killer. It does a great job. He can't keep up with production. I don't know if his hood scoop is going to fit on these newer cars. It doesn't look like, it looks like they just changed the look but didn't really change the function. So it may be something that you may want to consider if it fits this car. And I'm sure that they'll modify to fit the newer Pro Rs and it looks like the RZRs kind of have the same configuration on the hood scoop. I'm not really going to talk about the smaller wheelbase car or more narrow wheelbase car. It's not something that people really drive out here in the Southwest, but I know that some of these really great cars that have come out, the Can-Ams, the Pro Rs, the Speeds, the 72-inch cars are acceptable on some of the trails, but these 68-inch cars like the kind of like the Kawasaki KRX, those are more popular, and this car will fit right in there. I think it's a good car. I just don't drive those. I don't know enough about them, and it's not something that I would consider, so I'm not really going to talk about it, other than it looks like Polaris has really stepped it up with comfort. So people are spending all day in these cars, and they're realizing that the racing style seat is kind of going out the door, and those suspension seats from PRP and from Aces are kind of more of the thing that people want right away. So I think that's cool. They're stepping it up with the comfort and the look, because the Pro Rs, like, and the Pro XPs, when they first came out, the design was not that great. They were like, this looks like a Pontiac Aztec, and that was pretty true. These new cars don't look like that. They have a full new design. They have a stronger kind of fender that goes over the back, and the doors tie in better. They're going to be easier to wrap. So I think that they really paid attention to the aftermarket and how the doors look and everything. So I think they did a really great job putting all of that together and listening to their customers. I like how the cage and everything lines up. I like how the cage is color matched. The gold car, the teal car, those are really cool. I think Chupacabra could just buy the teal one and be done. Put a sticker on the side. I guess everybody would be driving Chupacabra cars around. They just put the sticker on the side. Looks like they've upgraded storage. Can-Am really missed the boat with storage, and they charge way too much for the storage accessories. I think that was a big fail with Can-Am on that part, where the Polaris Pro R is gonna definitely win when you're considering that. And with the standard clutch on the Pro R, the first generation was a little bit weak, but it was still really good. Second generation clutches on the Pro R, if you don't touch them, I mean, they are super strong. Haven't had anybody complain about the second gen clutches too much. Really looks like they focused on the stereo systems, which is really cool. I mean, that stuff can get really expensive. It's kind of nice that you can just order it, from the factory like that. So upgrading the seats, upgrading the storage, upgrading the look so they're easier to wrap and everything like that. That is really great options that I think people will pay for right out of the gate. So I think Polaris really listened to their customers, knocked it out of the park. I love that extra storage I love the extra storage in the dash and everything like that. That's really cool. So now we're kind of getting back to the Pro R, and I like how they can take the backrest out so easy with just that little clip. The seats definitely look more comfortable. They look better for all day riding. I did like the Generation 1 seats with all the ventilation. So the ventilation in the back really worked on those seats. I wasn't as sweaty as I am in my other seats, so it doesn't look like they have as much ventilation in these seats, but comfort probably wins over that all day long. The seats on the old Pro R, they really held you in too. So I know that with all that ventilation, the seats in the past maybe not were as strong, and these seats look like they're pretty dang strong. So I like that. And I love the doors. I love the armrests on the doors, the shape of the doors. I like how wide the top of the door is. And it actually looks like the door is a little bit higher. So that feels a little bit safer for you and the passengers. And it looks like with the removable back that they are focusing a little bit on ventilation, so that's pretty cool.
Air nostrils is the air we're pushing through the seats. So these new Pro R Ultimates come front seats.
So right now they're going into Ride Command, and they've added the features of heated and ventilated seats. So, you know, that's probably the main reason why they got rid of the ventilation ribs in there. And this is probably, you know, top tier ultimate model where you get the screen. It's probably the only model that offers that. And you'll have to go into Polaris pricing to figure that out for yourself, but I can guarantee that they're not going to offer that in any other model. So they're really pushing you to these ultimate models. And coming from a Pro R, it really is worth it to buy the Ultimate, because you get the smart shocks, you get the screen, and with this car you're going to get the heated and ventilated seats. I've never had heated and ventilated seats in a side-by-side. They offer it in the Speed UTV, but I opted not to get that. I just didn't think it was worth the extra money, or I would use it, or afraid of it breaking or getting wet. So it's just not something that I've purchased yet. But with these cars, you know, Polaris does a great job at engineering, and they're probably going to be just as nice as, you know, your Ford F-150, F-250, or your GMC or Chevy, you know. The red button stays. I love the red button. That thing is killer. It has saved my bacon so many times, and Shock Therapy now offers the Firminator. So if you have electronic suspension but you don't have the red button, you can upgrade your current cars. So whether you have a Turbo S, a KRX, an X3, a Maverick R, a Honda Talon, any of those cars with the smart shocks, you can buy the Firminator from Shock Therapy and upgrade your car with the red button. So that's pretty cool. I'm definitely going to be doing that on my Maverick R.
Like when you see, you know, a minefield of whoops coming up in front of you, you know, you're going to be blazing through for a while. You're maybe cruising.
So now we're getting to the Pro S, okay? And I always liked the look of the Turbo S. I think it was a sweet looking car because the wheelbase just looked right. And some people you're just never going to get from that two-cylinder motor. You're not going to get them to change from the turbo car. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, a lot of people like to upgrade their turbos and make the cars faster. The Turbo S, which I'm sure the Turbo R, which I'm sure with the Turbo S, is probably a lot lighter than the Pro R. So the car is going to be way better for all different types of racing. So the racers are sticking with the turbo car, not only because it's lighter, but going to the Pro R, you go into that 2000cc, and you literally can't compete in a lot of the races. It has to be an open class, or drag racing, or wheelie contests, you know, all of that stuff. You can use the Pro R, but in a typical racing situation, you have to be under that 1000cc mark, and that's where the Turbo R comes in. And in the Red Bull races, the Turbo R does really good. So this is going to be that new race car, and hopefully they were able to mix in a little bit of that geometry from the Pro R into the turbo car, because I think that's kind of a big mistake. They should have just had that wheelbase be similar all the way across the board, because that longer wheelbase is really great in the Pro R, and in the Turbo S it bucks more when you are going head to head with a Turbo S and a Pro R. You can see that difference in the back end. So hopefully with the Pro S, the geometry has been worked out a little bit better. So they look like they've kind of gone back to a Coyote style tire, and that Coyote on the Turbo S was a really great tire. I think it was an ITP, but that Coyote is a great tire, and it looks like they've kind of gone over to that style of tire rather than going over to the furries, the Maxxis furries like the Pro R. So that's pretty cool, and it looks like it's really leaning towards being that desert racer, and that can compete with the X3s and hopefully the Can-Am. But it's a beautiful car. They've got killer accessories. Unfortunately, a lot of these plastic accessories just get ripped off, and people put on the DRT bumpers and the DRT trunks, which are just a little bit more high quality and durable. The Polaris plastic stuff is pretty cool. It's pretty light. Looks like it's really cool. But when you're spending this type of money on these cars, a lot of people just don't want the plug-and-play Polaris accessories. I like that half windshield. I think that's smart. I'm not a windshield guy, but when you have comms in your car, for me it's more about the comms than actually having the windshield. It will blow that air up and over your comms and keep the air out of your microphone. So I think that's pretty cool that they have that half windshield available. I would buy that. I wouldn't buy that trunk. I'd probably buy that cooler. That cooler was a great fitting cooler, looked like it was high quality, pretty custom looking, and I could work with that. But I'd probably want to do like a aftermarket, upfit or DRT trunk. So I think that's pretty cool. Overall, it doesn't look like the lineup has changed a ton. It really looks like they've just listened to the customer and dialed it in. I love that they call it the Pro S, and they're paying attention to those Turbo S guys. I love all the comfort features. The colors are way better than they were in the past. I like that black and gold one, but this the teal and black one, great color. I like how it has a little bit of the red cues in there. It makes it a little bit more sporty, and I think they did a good job. The hood looks way better. The doors are way better, like I've said a bunch of times. Bead locks. It looks like a killer lineup this year. So I gotta hand it to Polaris. I think they did a great job. They say in there that it's the king of the dunes, king of the desert. Not quite sure it's king of the desert anymore. I think the Maverick R really rocks it. And the Maverick R is really the king of the dunes when it comes to the Maverick R is really the king of the dunes when it comes to stock cars. But you can't turn up a Maverick R like you can turn up a Pro R. You can look at the build that Desert SXS did with Pro EFI, and I mean, they've got it turned up to where you're not breaking the car, but it's got a lot of power, and you just can't do that yet with the Maverick R, and I don't know if you'll ever achieve that without sacrificing the transmission. So that's my opinion on the Polaris lineup. Maybe we'll talk about pricing and stuff a little bit later. But thank you guys for watching. I had a great summer. I'll be posting a little video about that. Had a great summer with the family. Haven't had a lot of time for YouTube, but thank you guys for tuning in. And I can't wait for the season to start. It's coming soon. We'll catch you later.